Hello everyone, sorry about that. If you were here before, you'd have seen that we had a stream briefly and then it went off and now it's back on again, but that's okay. That's all that's important, is that you can now see the cars in full. I don't know how many FPS we're running right now, but it's better than it was before. Anyway, I'm still being joined by Thomas Marshall. I'm, of course, your commentator, Caitlin Penny, and we're taking you through the start of this full qualifying session. In fact, Jan Dragoon there just setting a lap time, and it's a little way down on some of his opponents. Sammy Salem, Steven Stevenson, and Andreas Schilder currently the top three. Let's see if we can find... Oh, R2 Neiman in there. Looks like he's just been on an out lap. No, I think we just saw him coming out of the pits. A lot of these lap times... Whoa, as Alex Cochran goes for a bit of a grassy excursion. A lot of these lap times would have been from drivers just exiting the pits and crossing the line. So we're still yet to see a proper representative lap time. But that's okay, plenty of time left in the session. It's a relatively long circuit as far as road course circuits go, and as a result, they're only going to get a few attempts at a qualifying lap. It's going to restrict the number that they can actually go for, as Rob Walker takes a bit of a grassy excursion as well. But that just adds to the excitement of Road America. You've got to get it right. Thomas Marshall, what do you think of this circuit?
Well, I've only driven it a little bit, but I can definitely say it's enjoyable to drive. Because, I mean, when... Not that I've managed to go nearly as fast as these top guys can go, but when you can get it right, it just feels like it massively flows, if that makes sense. Like, it feels good to drive on the circuit, and when you get it right, it's definitely a very good feeling, because it can be quite challenging as well.
Indeed, it's a circuit that knows it was meant to be a circuit, if that makes sense. I've always said when it comes to American racing that the ovals and the street circuits are the most exciting rather than the road courses. But Road America, of course, very, very good road course, probably the best that IndyCar goes to right now. And it does produce some fantastic racing action. Here's Andreas Schilder just starting another flying lap, and let's take a look at this rather long Road America circuit. Let's find a good camera view. Oh, look at that driver's eye view. You can't really see that much from there. Here it is from onboard the roll hoop. We've just been through turn 1, there's turn 2, both right-handers, and then down a long straight, which technically counts as a couple of corners because of the few little kinks in the straight, which somehow do count as corners on the official track map. Then down into what is the... Oh, there's a car sliding right in front of Andreas Schilder here. I think that was Jan Dragoon, but that won't hold him up too much. I was going to say one of the tightest braking zones on the track. Turn 7, that's a right-hander. Then we have Hurry Downs, a great name for a downhill straight on a race course. Turn 8 is a left-hander, and then the carousel here counts as 2 corners, 9 and 10. Watch this as he gets it. Little wide there on the exit, little wide in the mid part of the corner, slightly out of the groove, and now the ferociously fast kink. There we go. That's where, if it all goes wrong, it goes wrong at very high speed. Think Catherine Legg, think that GT4 race a few years ago. Luckily, of course, in sim racing, it's a lot less dangerous than real life. Canada Corner, that's an action black spot. Thunder Valley, Bill Mitchell Bend, and then the final corner takes you up towards Road America Straight, one of the many really long straights on this circuit. In fact, the longest of those, if you don't count the one with a couple of official corners in it. And he crosses the line to set a 1:40.547, so a very good lap there from Andreas Schilder, and he is a real pick for pole today, Thomas. Do you think anyone can beat him?
Well, I'm just looking at Steven Stevenson, and he looks to be half a tenth up. So he's definitely got the pace to improve, because I know earlier he was about 2 tenths up. on his fastest lap, I mean. So he's got the potential to go faster than Andreas, but it's just whether he can string together a fast enough lap within the next 5 minutes. See, it looks like he's in lap now, so it'll be interesting to see.
Indeed, it will be. Quick apologies about the CPU usage over 99% message you're seeing. That is just a thing that my computer does, which is rather annoying. And I've had people try to help me sort it out, but anyway, hopefully it doesn't detract from what you're seeing too much. We still have a broadcast, we still have a race, and it's not blocking the screen or anything like that. Anyway, we continue. The 7th place there went to Oliver Gibson, so an improvement from Oliver there in the very orange car. Very Alex Palou-like. Here comes Jan Dragoon towards the end of a flying lap. And Jan, of course, had a big slide on the last attempt, so we'll see if this one is any better. Currently 4th place. One of the fastest drivers in Formula Trout, has a Premier Series pole.
I think Alex Cochran might be in for a good lap. 5/10 up.
Well, let's take a look, shall we?
Fastest.
Out of the final corner comes Alex Cochran. And up towards the line, bit of a distant tow from the cars in front of him. And it's going to be good. It's 2nd place, 140.706. And he gained a lot of that in the 3rd sector because he wasn't that close to Andreas Schilder in the 2nd. But that is a great lap there from Alex Cochran to become one of only 4 drivers, as Kees Willems there goes P6. But yeah, one of only 4 drivers to do it in under 1 minute 41 so far in this session. Very good stuff there from Alex Cochran. Andreas Schilder, I think, is probably on an in-lap right now. We'll probably be heading back to the pits. Possibly the same for Kees Willems. Marek Satar is a driver that I've never actually seen racing before, in that very brightly coloured Pride of India car. But he's doing a good job here in the top 10. And yeah, an Indian in an Indy car. It's rather fitting.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how he fares for this race, because himself and Lazar, I'm sorry if I butchered your name there, they're both brand new drivers to the league, so this is their debut race, and they've shown some decent pace in pre-practice on the practice server, but then also in the practice session that's just gone. So it'll be very interesting to see how they fare.
Jan Dragoon goes 2nd, and that's notable because he, of course, did not come into the pits after his last flying lap, and that shows you that this isn't going to be a Formula 1 style dash then stop, then dash, then stop. You can set multiple laps in a row here. Let's see what Sato does. Out of the final corner, runs a little bit wide, although not far enough for the grass to really hold him back. And across the line, is he about to start a lap potentially? Well, he does improve on his lap. He gets closer to 9th place, although stays P10. Right, we're now in the closing stages of this qualifying session. Few drivers can improve on their times. Let's look quickly at Sammy Salem in that very AlphaTauri reminiscent car. The Scuderia Toto Rosso driver, I believe he is. And it's been a while since I've commentated Sammy Salem. Last time was when the Formula Trout Sprint Series was doing Formula 3 last year. Anyway, Sammy seems to have put in a decent first couple of corners, as Ryan Wilson goes P12 so far. Good to see so many drivers here today. It goes off the bottom of the screen, which is when you know it's a good grid. We'll take a look before the race at how many drivers are actually here. But we're now into the final minute of qualifying, and so the drivers only get one more flying lap, if that, if they're not already finishing the lap that they've started. But anyway, no more starting fast laps from when the session ticks to 0. Through the kink flies Sammy Salem. Gibson's in the pits, so it looks as if Gibson's best grid position is going to be 8th place. He can do no better. Little wide at Canada corner from Sammy Salem, kicks up the grass on the exit, kicks up the dust a little, and And I don't know how serious the race directors are going to be looking at track limits here, but we'll keep an eye out for that. Sammy Salem with a bit of a distant toe out of the final corner up towards the line, and he'll get time for one more lap, I think, if he wants to. And there's no improvement. He's actually about half a second down on his personal best, and he pulls over, so that's the end of his session. Here comes Stevenson in the other AlphaTauri looking Scuderia Toto Rosso car. The checkered flag is out and waiting for them. And
this is a good lap.
Crosses the line, it goes P1, so the championship leader retakes the lead of the qualifying session, 140.402, and that is how you do it. Dragoon is in the pits, won't be going any faster. Schilder's, oh wow, big slide, he's 2/10 down, and I don't think that Schilder's, well, he's bailing out, so that's the end for Dave Schilder, Andreas Schilder, I don't know why I said Dave there, and I think that means that there aren't going to be any more improvements for pole position in this session. I'm trying to see if anyone's actually completing another lap.
Marmik Satar, 4/10 up.
Satar indeed, heading towards the kink. And yeah, he does appear to have time to finish a lap. He's about to cross a sector time. Now you'll see he's about 2/10 down, but that's on the leader. And considering that he was a whole second off on his previous lap, this does look as if it's better than he's done before. So let's take a look as he heads up towards the final corner of this track. It's a difficult one to get right because it curves in the braking zone. And then the grass is waiting to catch you on the outside. This looks as if it is going to be a significant improvement. Where does it put him? Previously he improved to P10, goes P4, so he's starting from the second row of the grid in just his first Formula Trout race. And that, I'm afraid, is the end of the qualifying session, but don't go anywhere because we have a 22 lap race coming right up. On pole position is going to be Stevenson, followed by Andreas Schilder, Jan Dragoon, Marmik Satar and Alex Cochran, the top 5, and then of course we'll update you on the rest of the grid. Thomas, I don't suppose we're expecting grid penalties or anything like that, are we?
For what exactly, sorry?
The grid penalties coming into this round, so is the order that we're seeing?
No.
Okay.
Right now the order is as it should be, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, that does mean, of course, that Stevenson will start on pole position, no questions asked. He's yet to get a victory in this season. He's only leading it by 1 point ahead of Oscar Williams and Ryan Oberholzer, but that's okay because he is leading it and heading towards the rest of the season. This pole position is going to give him a bit of a boost. So here's the grid anyway. Stevenson, followed by Andreas Schilder, Jan Dragoon, Marmik Satar, Alex Cochran, Sammy Salem, who seems to have just left, so hopefully Sammy makes it back. Then Dave Southwood, Keys Willems, Oliver Gibson, Serban Buzduga, Giovanni Amorim, Pau Dineres, Ryan Wilson, Gustavo Della Valle, Adam Woodward, Ramiz Wazar, Robert Walker, Paul Thompson, then Babington, Simon Nathaniel, who's also left the session, and Artu Niemanen. Interesting to see Artu so far down. And then Snowed Jaeger rounding out the field because it looks as if Snowed did not set a flying lap in qualifying. Ignore the 2 cars at the back, those are your camera cars. So that is the end of the qualifying session. And we now have just a couple of minutes to wait before the start of the race. Marmik Satar has also left. Sammy Salem is back, so Sammy will be taking the start here. Just a quick reboot of the server or whatever. You see everyone congratulating Stevenson there in the chat, and Keith Willems congratulating Marmik for his P4 as well, which is very wholesome to see. Anyway, the countdown for the initial wait time is over. Let's see how much wait time we get before the start of the 22 lap race. It's a minute, it's only a minute, so now the cars are making their way to the grid. Let's put the camera car back to the pits and take a look at the order. It is indeed Stevenson on pole, followed by Andreas Schilder, and this is how those cars look lining up at the front. I should have asked you this earlier actually. Thomas, do we get a standing start here, or is it an IndyCar style rolling start?
It's standing starts for road races, yeah.
Okay.
And then rolling starts are reserved for oval races,
Well, IndyCar
since
in
it's safer that
reality,
way.
indeed. Well, IndyCar in reality has only ever done one standing start, and I'm afraid it didn't go very well. If anyone knows the story of that race, but of course, Formula Trout, these guys, a lot of them are used to racing hybrid Formula One cars. Anyway, the race is about to get underway. You see those 6 red lights, and when they go out, we'll be underway for 22 laps of racing at Road America. And go! Away we head to the start of the race. Let's take a look at the leader. Steven Stevenson appears to have got the jump and is moving ahead of Andreas Schilder in second place. Schilder coming back at him on the outside line and getting slightly run out of road. But no harm, no foul. Let's take a look to see if everyone else has made it through okay. Indeed they have. 21 cars in this race. That is a great field. And they've all made it through the opening few corners. Noriega did start the race despite not setting a flying lap in qualifying, and Artie Neiman started the race as well, despite starting from the very back. It's Cochran up into 4th place, and look at Schilder coming under pressure from Jan Dragoon into turn 5. Sata back up into 4th place now, so managed to fend off Alex Cochran as the race continued. Couple of places lost for Ryan Wilson. He's down into P13. But that's okay, still a long way to go in this race. 22 laps around this circuit should be a decent length race, and Sammy Salem's been for a spin. Sammy Salem has gone around. Luckily it looks as if everyone's avoided him. Actually, Oliver Gibson lost a lot of time in that, so maybe went off in avoidance or something along those lines. But Sammy Salem dropping to P15 from the start, and I tell you what, Artie Nieminen is in P9 despite starting 20th on the grid, Thomas.
It's very impressive, but I've got to say I'm not all surprised, because he's a very, very fast driver. The thing that surprised me most was how poorly he qualified, frankly.
Salem off again, and now Amorim's on. So Amorim is spun on the exit of the penultimate corner, rejoins the road. Buzz Duger is off in that as well. Maybe they made contact. I didn't see what happened. Did you?
I did not see anything until the car I was checking at, which is Wazar. I only saw it just as he came round that corner.
Okay, well that puts Babington up into the top 10 despite his relatively lowly qualifying position.
Buzduga seemed to have DNF'd.
Rob Walker spins. Rob Walker facing backwards on the exit of turn 1. Let's see if he can rejoin cleanly. Yep, doesn't look as if anyone is coming through. So Buzduga appears to be our first actual retirement of this race. Simon Nathaniel appears to have not made the start. And that is how they stand. So Stevenson leads by a second over Schilder, so he's building out his advantage. And then it is Jan Dragoon in 3rd place, and Sata 4th, Cochran 5th, etc, etc. Nieminen lost a few places there, maybe an avoidance. He's down into P13 from, well, he was in P9 temporarily. And it appears there was a real skirmish there that I'm afraid we didn't see much of, so apologies about that. Schilder now back within a second of Stevenson, and I'm sure that he will be doing his utmost not to let the championship leader get away in terms of this fight. Now Andreas Schilder, and what's changed there? Well, Sata's up to 3rd, so Sata has passed Jan Dragoon. That happened in the background there. Thompson ahead of Daenerys now, but they have swapped back, and actually I think, there's contact! Off goes Paul Thompson, and off goes R2 Nieminen. Big shame. And a big hit as he rejoins right into the side of, I think that was Adam Woodward, and Nieminen is out of the race, and that is a huge shame because he had such a good start to this race. He was on course to be easily my driver of the day, and now he's not even going to get a finish.
Yeah, that's a massive shame. Especially after the amazing performances I've done in these first few laps.
Ryan Wilson's passed Oliver Gibson for P8, and now goes after, is that Willems up ahead? Yep, Keys Willems, in the similarly liveried car to Gibson. Once again, the leaders. And Cochran ran the outside of Dragoon, trying to come back at him after he was passed a lap ago. And contact, and they're both going around, and into the wall goes Dragoon. And that is big, big drama. That puts Southwood up into 4th. And down the order goes Cochran in particular. Dragoon loses a couple of places, and Cochran's going to end up in P9. That's a big shame for those two as well. These drivers just need to calm it down in the opening stage of this race. These cars, obviously difficult to drive, but a lot more contact than we'd like to see, Tom.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's very unfortunate as well, because I was looking forward to seeing how Alex finished, because for the last race that we had here, he ended up finishing P3. So I was wondering if he'd be able to get a finish like that again, but he's going to have quite a bit of damage from that, I'd assume, so it's looking unlikely now.
Yandra, who was that running right off the road? Looked to be Yandragoon again, although it's not Yandragoon. Anyway, I think it's a back marker. Someone getting right out of the way by diving onto the grass. Cochran and Gibson swapping places down into to turn 1. Can't have been Dragoon. It must have been his Concord Racing teammate. Let's go back and double check who.
It can't have been, because Dragoon is the only Concord driver racing tonight.
Well, I'm confused by what I just saw. Anyway.
It could have been one of the JWR cars, maybe. They're in a similar colour car.
Welcome to JT Show Denmum in the Twitch chat, saying good luck Lioneers. Lioneers, of course, the bright orange cars that we're looking at now. Keys Willems in 6th place and Oliver Gibson in P8. So these two doing a decent job. Bit of a slide from Keys Willems, but he holds it very well. Let's take a look at Sato, because look at him. He's catching up to Schilder here. And has Schilder made a mistake maybe? Because all of a sudden Stevenson is leading by 3 seconds in this race. I'm pretty sure the car that I saw running off a lap ago, I've just seen a replay, it was Ryan Wilson, who ran off the road coming out of the final corner. In a bizarre instant, because he didn't seem to slide or anything like that, he just seemed to drive off the road. Oh, talking of driving off the road, Schilder getting very grassy and locking up, and very wide now, big twitch. Sato is going to have a great opportunity down this straight. It's a very long straight, and he has got a very good dose of slipstream. Stevenson, fastest lap of the race by quite a long way there, or was by quite a long way until Dragoon got relatively close, but still fastest lap for Stevenson. Sato wasn't able to get close enough to Schilder to make the move that time around, but he's got the whole of the rest of the race to do it in. Thomas, I presume, since this is a sprint series, that we're not expecting pit stops, right? This is just a straight dash.
I'd say we will be expecting pit stops, actually, because the fuel tanks on these cars are tiny. I believe they're like 70 litres, and the fuel goes quite quickly in these cars. So I'd expect maybe 1 stop for fuel and tyres as well. But other than that, it should be that should be all it is.
Indeed, I forgot about the fact that these cars do refueling, so that's going to be something to look forward to. That should spice up the race even more so. Not that it really needed spicing up so far. Look at Schilder and Sato. This is for the lower place in the podium. Change for P10. Babington's off. So Babington, who'd made a very good start himself, appears to have run off the road, heading towards the carousel, and that puts Denares into the top 10 now. And Babington is down into P13, and look at Willems. Willems gone round as well, and that is at Canada Corner, so I presume he lost under braking, although remember Cochran was right up his chuff, so hopefully nothing happened between those two. Cochran now P6 and Willems down to P9. Andreas Schilder sets the first lap of the race so far, trying to escape from Sato, as into the pits now comes Keys Willems to, I presume, replace those messed up tyres. And that was very late to get it down to the pit speed limiter there, so hopefully it didn't speed on the way in. Anyway, dropping down the order even further, that puts Wazar into P10. And sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, something interesting that I've noticed as well is that quite a lot of these drivers haven't used any of the push to pass yet.
Right. Right.
despite being very close to other cars, which I'm not sure whether they're saving them for later in the race or if they've just forgotten to use them or what. But yeah,
Is there any
just
way
found
I
that quite
can?
strange.
Is there any way I can see who's used what? How many push to passes?
If you
Oh,
look,
that's on
yeah,
the right
it's the
hand side of
numbers.
the.
Yeah,
Yeah, the little numbers there. So
yeah.
Stevenson
So
is yet to use any. I guess he hasn't needed to, being in the lead of this race. And that's not a lag spike. That's a crash for Marmik Sata. He's bouncing off the wall, and I believe that's an equipment failure or something, because he just suddenly steered right into the barriers, and he's now trying to recover.
It looks like his suspension's broken too.
Yeah. Well, something very dramatic happened there. That wasn't a traditional crash. He didn't lose control, and look at that. Something is very broken on Marmik Sata's car. And from third place, suddenly, he is dropping down the order and will presumably not finish. So down to 8th, and he'll be even further down by the end of this lap. Drama for Sata. He was doing such a good job. What do you think could have happened there?
I think, like you say, only thing I can think of really is equipment failure. I mean, what else would cause you to just go straight into the wall?
Yeah, very bizarre.
Yeah, that's definitely weird.
Maybe that his wheel jammed or something along those lines. Maybe he got a pop-up on his screen and couldn't see where he was going. Any of those things could have happened. I'm afraid we won't know what actually did happen until we speak to him, if indeed we do. But yeah, he was running in third place, and for his first Formula Trout race, at least he's made a name for himself. I initially thought it was a lag spike, because often you see cars flying through barriers and then just pinging back into reality. But I'm afraid on this occasion that did not happen. Anyway, the race continues, and we've got a good little battle here between Cochran, Williams and Gibson. And I think Sata did make it back to the pits, because he is in the pit lane now. Don't know if he teleported back there or what, but if he...
It looks like he got there by his own power, so I mean... Oh, I think he's coming out now.
Well, so Sata could well get back in the race. Yep, looks like he will. Hopefully, whatever issue he had before will not repeat itself. Wilson, meanwhile, using the push to pass, going to the left-hand side, the outside of Alex Cochran, and getting forced off the road and into the wall. Ryan Wilson makes contact with Alex Cochran, and through goes Gibson into P5. Says thank you very much, and that is his position there. And what do you make of that one, Thomas?
You see, I feel like on the one hand it was sort of like Ryan could easily have just sort of extended the corner a little bit just to leave the space and avoid something like that from happening. But then, I mean, it's a difficult thing to say really, because like Alex might have seen him there and tried to get away, but well, like I've said before, the car can be a little bit understeery at times, so it might have just been that he couldn't get out of the way.
Just spun again, sorry. Sammy Salem did manage to get back into the top 10, but now he's down into P11. Giovanni Amorum retakes P10, so Salem's having a mare of a time. Anyway, yeah, indeed, I personally think that at that point, Wilson probably should have backed out of it, but he still had the overlap. Cochran still, according to the rules, owed him space, so you could really see that either way. Marmik Sata does seem to be back to full speed here, although has a lot of ground to gain if he's going to gain anything meaningful out of this race. And Snow Diego, I'm afraid, has just become another retirement. He wasn't having a great race to this point either. Looking at the championship standings, I believe points go down to 12th place. So Sata still has a bit of ground to be gained if he's going to take anything away from this round, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's definitely a shame to see, especially after the immense performance that he had in qualifying and at the start of the race. Yeah, but I think just with the amount of damage that he had, it meant that he had to be stopped for a massive amount of time, so I think his race is as good as over, honestly.
Pretty much. Now, Southwood gained a lot of time on Schilder that last lap, took a few attempts out of him, and Schilder has just used a couple of push-to-passes in the early stages of this lap, so he is feeling the pressure and wants to extend that gap as much as possible, reduce the amount of time that Southwood will have cooped up under its gearbox trying to go for a move. and we'll see how that works out for his lap times here. He does appear to be pulling away a little from Southwood in these early stages of the lap, but that's to be expected because he has had significantly more horsepower than Southwood on this lap so far. Here's Cochran chasing down Oliver Gibson. Of course, won't feel that he deserves to be behind him because, of course, he had that accident with Ryan Wilson a couple of minutes ago. But anyway, keep your eye on this one. Gibson still yet to use any of his posted passes. He's the top driver not to have used any yet. And considering the number of battles that he's been in, that's a little surprising. Maybe he doesn't know the posted pass exists, but hopefully he does. Doing a good job there on P5, nonetheless for now.
Yeah, and Dave Southwood last season, he was P2 here, so I'm sure he's looking to match or improve on that again. But it's just a matter of whether he can pass Schilder or not. Obviously, Season 7 hybrid champion, but these cars are quite a lot different to the hybrid cars. But he's definitely got the driving skill to keep it in front. But it'll be interesting to see on how the strategies will differ and whether that'll cause any advantage or not.
Schilder's at the fastest lap of the race there, trying to pull away from Dave Southwood. I think a more representative time will be if we look at it on this lap, or at least the next lap where he doesn't use a push to pass. A couple of drivers coming into the pits just outside of the top 10 there. Amorim and Woodward absolutely locked together in the pit lane there. That is a little feisty between the two of them. They are inside each other, and that is not ideal for PG audiences. Back to the fight for big slide for Wilson in the background there. Big twitch, held it very well, but the car got all sorts of crossed up on him there as Gibson runs wide and kicks up the grass. Stevenson, I've noticed these last few laps, has been using the push to pass just for fun, it seems. I don't think he's passing back markers, but I'm kind of surprised he's doing that at this point in the race, since when he makes his pit stop, if indeed he is going to make a pit stop, he's going to have to potentially fight through a couple of late stoppers after coming out, and the push to pass would be very important then. But he'll still have some for that, I presume. He's still got 7 in the tank out of a possible 10. Tell you what, Cochran is rather close to Oliver Gibson here on the exit of the final corner, and doesn't use the push to pass this time. Surprised Gibson didn't use it to just cover him off, especially since Gibson has so many in reserve.
I mean, it seems like he's just completely forgotten about it. Like, it's very strange.
Doing a good job without them, but anyway. He isn't the only driver not to have used the push to pass yet. I'm pretty sure that Sammy Salem hasn't either. He's in the pits now from 10th place. So that'll put Babington into the top 10. But anyway, Gibson doing a great job without them, running P5 of course. And considering that he got a P4 in the last race, he appears to be on the up. Keith Willems is facing backwards on the extra Canada corner. Rejoined safely, that's good to see, but yeah, it's been going from bad to worse for Keith Willems. And after his pit stop, he hasn't really been challenging for significant points. Props to him for continuing anyway, and stays out of the pits this time. He'll want to try to continue right to the end if possible, because in a series where you don't even technically need to make one stop, you certainly can't afford to make 2. And Stevenson in. Sorry, the leader, Stevenson, is making his stop. Andreas Schilder follows him in, so Southwood temporarily takes the lead. He'll have clean air. Now let's see if the tyre compounds change at all. I don't think they will go free, because as far as I know, there's no mandatory change of tyre compound. But anyway, another set of reds for Stevenson. Dragoon is in, Wilson is in, and who's that? That's Wazza there, also into the pits, and indeed another set of reds for Stevenson, who exits the pits now. P5 in the order, and actually has quite a lot of clean air up ahead, because Denarez is a few seconds up the road as we look at it. Schilder also in clean air on pit exit. Gibson hasn't forgot about push to pass, he's using it now to escape from Alex Cochran. Used his first of his 10 push to passes down the straight there, so obviously Cochran got closer and he suddenly felt the need to cover him off with the extra horsepower, and they stay in those positions.
Paul Thompson off.
Who was that?
Paul Thompson.
Paul Thompson.
Driver.
Indeed,
Yeah.
One of the Lioneers has spun. Paul Thompson. Now he was a lap down, but that shocked me a bit, because I thought at first that it confused me, because we were looking at Gibson, and it couldn't have been him. But anyway, Paul Thompson down in 17th place. Best result 18th so far this season, so hasn't been the greatest of years for him so far. Shame we don't see Oscar Williams here today. He has won every race that he's finished. Oh, and into the pits comes Gibson. But yeah, Williams, of course, has won every race that he's finished so far. He missed the first round and he DNF'd last time, but the other 2 races seem to be a little unstoppable.
Well, it's definitely looking like Verm is in a good position to win the championship again. They were the constructors champions for the previous season.
Very true. They do have a sizable lead, but considering they're not doing as well this round, it's not over yet. Anyway, Gibson and Denarez both came in there, and Stevenson still has clean air. In fact, probably even cleaner air than he had before. Same could be said for Schilder. So that is exactly how they would have liked it. Denarez is going to be passed by Babington on the exit, but Babington, of course, still yet to make his pit stop. And Denarez rejoins 8th. We're over the halfway point in this race now. It's felt like a pretty quick one, actually. Feels like it's gone by much faster than I would have expected. But time flies when you're having fun, and the opening stages of this race were absolutely fun. Of course, when Southwood and Cochran come in, that means that Stevenson will once again lead this race, but actually Southwood has been building out quite a gap. Now he's into the pits, and this is the most important moment of the race so far. Where does Southwood come out? I wouldn't be surprised if staying out later on a lower fuel tank has helped him to get ahead of Schilder, but we'll have to see. Alex Cochran in from behind him. Pit stops here take longer than they would do in a Formula 1 race, so the standard 25-second buffer which you're used to in Formula 1 doesn't apply here. Push to pass being used for Stevenson. He is determined to retake the lead of the race, which he does so, and Southwood looks to have easily jumped Schilder. Wow, so Southwood, with the low fuel, has been pushing on the in-laps, and it has worked out. He's taken 2nd place, just as he did last season, and that's exactly what he would have wanted. Meanwhile, Wazza there has passed Sammy Salem, and interesting to see Salem still trying so hard. He's had so many spins so far today, but not giving up, which is good to see. Ben Babington also in, and Schilder's off. Schilder is off the road, and that's at turn 8. And as he rejoins, Jan Dragoon takes 3rd. Cochran goes through. Gibson goes through. Drama for Andreas Schilder. It reminds me of the Portuguese Grand Prix in the Hybrid Series last season, where he would almost undoubtedly have won, but sadly spun it away and gave it to the Vermin cars. But it seems to have happened again. From 3rd place in the order, Andreas Schilder down to 5th, Thomas.
Yeah, that's surprising to see. But I mean, especially on these red alternate tyres, like they've supposedly got more grip.
And around again.
He goes around again.
It's the same corner. It's exactly the same corner. He does not like that one at all. Andreas Schilder.
He must have lit up his tyres.
Down to 6th place. And yeah, the trouble is if you spin once, you tend to do it again, because the tyres are pretty much ruined at that point. And,
Yeah, this is very surprising.
and I was wrong, it wasn't the same corner because of course it was on the same lap, but anyway, because previously it was coming out of turn 2. Whatever the case, yeah, Schilder lighting up his tyres, ruining his tyres, and now he's just got to cool off for a couple of laps. Cool his head, cool his tyres, get it under control, and bring it home to the finish. The worst he can do now is sick. And Stevenson! Stevenson is off at turn 1! Dave Southwood all of a sudden leads this race. It's been an unstoppable drive from Stevenson so far. There was no reason, it seemed, to be looking at him there, because he just seemed to have the race under control. He was leading by 4 seconds. Now, did he get involved with a back mark, or did he just go off by himself? I mean, my best guess is that he went off by himself under braking or something. Whatever the case, he's down to 3rd. Jan Dragoon might get 2nd. Wow.
Yeah, I'm lost for words. Stevenson, obviously, he's been dominating the race. Like, I can't believe it. Just like he's been winning the race for, well, pretty much all of it with no issue at all. Like, I don't even think I've seen him having a bit of a moment or anything. Like, and then he just completely goes straight off. It's very, very strange to see.
That is very rare. And I'm afraid we don't have replays, so we can't go back and accurately show you how that happened, but something's obviously happened, and it appears to have cost Stevenson the win. Hasn't quite cost him a podium, still a long way, or I say a long way, still 6 or 7 laps to go in this race. But yeah, what a dramatic mistake from Stevenson. Hopefully didn't hit anything, hopefully didn't get damaged, hopefully it wasn't anyone else's fault. But whatever the case, that has really shaken up this race, and Dave Southwood, who we knew was quick here and did a great job to undercut his rivals, undercut Schilder in the pits. And that appears, well, it hasn't really mattered, has it? Because the only other 2 drivers he's been racing have been Stevenson and Schilder, and both of them have spun off now. So the seas have parted for Dave Southwood, and he's now leading by 8 seconds over Jan Dragoon, 7.8 seconds, but near enough. Sammy Salem might be about to go for a move on Wilson. Nope, thinks better of it down into turn 1. Yeah, and as I was saying earlier, Salem is the only other driver yet to have used any push-to-passes. Could have done with one just then, but anyway.
And Satar, right on the gearbox side in Woodward here.
He's back in the points.
Absolutely. I mean, he went 1 second faster than Woodward in that last lap.
Well, good for him.
He's definitely got the pace.
Schilder's catching up to Gibson as well. And both of these have a lot of push-to-passes left over in these latter stages of the race, through the carousel and out towards the kink. I always think that Griffin Gaming livery reminds me of a mid to late 2000s Williams F1 car, maybe like 2007 style. It's that kind of blue with that kind of white on the front.
Yeah. It's definitely a good-looking livery.
It really is.
Yeah.
I think it might be my favourite, actually, just looking at all of the cars together. I also like the papaya orange of the car up ahead. I think they pull it off better than the McLaren F1 team. Controversial opinion.
Yeah.
Down the straight they go, past a back marker in the pits, and Schilder going to the outside, using the push to pass, and appears to be through before the corner. So Schilder takes 5th place, but goes very, very wide. They both do. Of course, track limits aren't as much of a consideration in IndyCar as they are in Formula 1 or other European forms of motorsports. But Andreas Schilder takes 5th place anyway. And the trouble with Gibson going wide there is he can no longer argue that Schilder passed him by going off the road, because they were both off the road. But anyway, both using push to pass down that straight as well. 5 laps remaining now. You're about to see drivers.
Salem.
Oh, is Salem?
He's going for it.
On the outside of Wilson.
Oh. Can he keep it together?
Just leaves him room. I tell you what, that's good driving from Wilson there. Left exactly a car
absolutely.
width and no more. Really good defensive driving. and a lot of other drivers in that situation would have caused an accident, so Wilson doing a very good job there not to. Sammy Salem still has opportunities though, through the carousel. This is the most difficult part of the circuit when you're following another car, because the turbulent air will unsettle you.
Then the toe will give him a massive advantage.
It does, but only on the straights.
Just close behind. Well, I know, but he's still quite close behind it, and they're going relatively straight. I mean, if you can keep it behind him this close up until the back straight, and then, well, he might as well have already got him. And I'm very surprised he's not used his push to pass.
Well,
this would be the perfect time for it.
Now would be the perfect time for it. Come on, push that button, Sammy. Don't think he's going to, actually. Maybe he doesn't know that there is a push to pass there. But he gets the slipstream. He's catching Wilson. Wilson doesn't seem to need the push to pass to fend him off, actually, because he has enough of a gap. So he stays P8. Bit bizarre from Sammy Salem, but whatever the case, the race continues. In these late stages, you'll probably see drivers using up push to passes like they're going cheap, because at this point there's really no reason why not to. Wilson uses it, but Salem's on the attack, goes to the outside line, and Wilson fends him off. And I tell you what, and he's gone wide and he's hit him, and Wilson tips it sideways. Sammy Salem goes through.
That's a shame.
That is a shame. Luckily, they don't lose too much time. And look at Wazza going off in the background. He saw his opportunity, but got a little too excited in trying that one. So luckily, they don't appear to have lost any positions to anyone else. But yeah, a little bit of a clumsy way for that battle to end there between Salem and Wilson. I was going to say, if Wilson hadn't used the push to pass, I think Salem would easily have blown by him. But anyway, I suppose we'll never find out. So, just a couple of laps to go left in this race now. We're on lap 19 out of 22. And it is coming to a close. Wilson kicking up the dust a little. Currently looks as if it's going to be Southwood, followed by Dragoon and Stevenson. To be honest, that would probably still be to Stevenson's advantage in the championship, because actually, come to think of it, Dragoon is not too far behind him in terms of points. He was held up a little by not making the last round at Michigan, and also by not scoring at round 2, Okayama. But the thing is, he's still less than 10 points behind Stevenson in the championship, and he's going to be gaining on that today. Could we be seeing Jan Dragoon start to become a real championship contender here? Unfortunately, I'm not sure about Dave Southwood, because yes, he is winning the race today, but he's been a little inconsistent aside from that in the championship so far. I think the big winner from this race really will be Jan Dragoon.
Yeah, absolutely. He's in a great position. Well, he's currently 18 points behind Stevenson. So it's looking like if he can keep this sort of pace for the rest of the season, and also if he can keep it ahead of Stevenson, then he'll definitely be in a very, very good position for the title.
Well, Dragoon is actually only 8 points behind Stevenson right now. It's just that the top 6 in the championship are so tightly packed after the first 4 rounds. Alex Cochran there sets first lap of the race as he uses some push to passes, seemingly for fun, because he is not really with anyone right now. We're watching on board with Dave Southwood for a bit, since there aren't really any close battles going on track. We might as well see how it looks from the race leader, the driver who has not dominated proceeding. It's been a tough one, of course. First of all, Schilder and Stevenson looked as if they were going to battle for the win, but then they both spun off, and Southwood's been there to pick up the pieces. But the important thing is he has been there to pick up the pieces, you know. He's been there to he's been in a position where he can. Sata's in the pit, so obviously I'm afraid with his earlier pit stop due to the incident, he wasn't able to go to the end on that fuel load, so that will mean he'll probably drop out of the points, giving Giovanni Amorim the final points paying position. And that's the problem with having an accident earlier on in the race. You don't know if you can actually make it to the end on that, but anyway. You heard the engine rev there as Southwood clicked the push to pass down towards Canada corner. And he'll be going now onto the penultimate lap of the race. Still his advantage, 5 seconds. Is Steven Stevenson, pole sitter for this round. Very, very fast driver. Sadly, didn't have the control to back that up. Still a good job. P3 is nothing to be sniffed at, especially with that pole position, but from pole position he'd have been hoping for better. Everyone pretty much ignoring the track limits on the extra turn 1 now. Thomas, do you think the stewards will take it in view of that, or do you think they'll get away with it okay?
Well, for this race, the track limits have sort of been eased slightly, just because of the nature of the track, really. Because it's sort of especially with like these tarmac runoff areas, it doesn't make much sense to penalise you for using them, because it's not like you'd gain a massive amount of time, like if you were to like cut the corner, for example. But it's you can sort of maximise the car's potential by using the extra area. So I felt like there was not much point in actually penalising that, so I just figured I'd let the track limit slide, other than if they were to massively cut or something.
Well, on one hand that could be seen as unfair, since they do definitely gain time from running wide, but then again, on the other hand, they're all in the same boat, and that's very much the IndyCar attitude. If you're crying that a driver's, going wide at a certain corner and gaining time, just do the same thing. And of course, you've seen that at Circuit of the Americas in the past in the IndyCar series. Stevenson seems to be kicking up a lot of grass in this race, but anyway, a lot of the drivers are. Final lap of the race now. Dave Southwood just has a few kilometers to go before taking this victory. His advantage is 4.8 seconds, so he doesn't have to worry too much. Just needs to focus on his own race, hitting his marks, not making any silly mistakes, and he should be fine. We'll take a look at that when he does come towards the conclusion of this lap. Let's take a quick look at Oliver Gibson, see how he's doing, running down in P6. And he's got his teammate behind him, although a lap down, I'm afraid to say, after various incidents earlier on. Dave Southwood has a clean track as he approaches the closure of this race. A lot of drivers using up their very last push to pass now, because there's really no point in not doing so. You want to get the race over and done with as quickly as possible.
Everyone apart from Sammy Salem, of course.
Of course.
Who's just not needed it at all and still managed P8, which is still a pretty good feat, honestly.
Giovanni Amorim also not using many, although he has used some. Anyway, there's going to be 15 cars on the lead lap at the end of this race. The top 12 score points. And the best of those is going to be Dave Southwood, because he has led this race ever since the mistakes from his rivals. He's just been so much cleaner and smoother, and it's going to give him the victory, and rightfully so. Dave Southwood crosses the line and wins at Road America. Very good job now. Jan Dragoon is going to be second, and then Steven Stevenson will be slightly disappointed in third, but he still gets a podium. And it's Cochran, Schilder and Gibson relatively close in this last lap, and then Gibson, Satar and Babington appear to be having a bit of a scrap for P13. Shame that's not for points. Poidenieres, P7, and then Sammy Salem with a good recovery drive after various incidents and accidents earlier on in this race. Ryan Wilson, P9, after collisions with Alex Cochran. Ramiz Wazar is P10. Decent job there. Adam Woodward will be P11. And then the final point, it seems, will be going to Giovanni Amorim in this race. And I don't normally do driver of the days for single class races, But you've got to say, Dave Southwood was so smooth there, so smooth. He wasn't the fastest driver on the track, but he didn't need to be, because at the end of the day, a victory is a victory, and he'll get the same number of points, no matter how fast he was, because he won.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been, well, really, it's been a bit of a masterclass from Southwood tonight. Because, I mean, he didn't necessarily qualify in a winning position, but he still managed to make the most of it just by basically keeping it on the track the whole time. But I think he's probably the only driver who's not made a mistake this race. And, well, and it shows, frankly.
Indeed. Well, I'm not sure if the drivers know that we're in here in the commentary channel. Hopefully some come in for interviews. We can quickly talk to Kees Willems, I suppose. Are you there?
Yes, hello, I'm here.
Okay, so no points there, I'm afraid to say. What went wrong for you?
Well, the thing was, I had a pretty great start. I think it was P5 until a few laps in at some point. And I think it might have been Jan Dragoon who might have had a bad internet moment or something. I believe it was a red and black car that somebody just... It glitched into me, and then all of a sudden I just went into the wall, and it's ruined my race horribly. My car after that was really unstable, even after the pit stop, just spins constantly. It really ruined my race. It's really unfortunate.
Such a shame, really horrible to hear that. You've had a couple of pieces of bad luck so far this year with the DNF last time out as well. You're looking forward to the rest of the series? It's Zolder next, I believe.
Well, Zolder obviously is a bit closer to home, so that's always more fun. But yeah, my result from the previous race was even more sad, to be honest, because it was due to hitboxes. Actually, I didn't really hit Alex Cochran, I believe it was, but the hitbox said it was so. And then I sent Alex Cochran into the crowd, and then I couldn't move anymore. So that was my race officially done. But yeah, I want to see how well Zolder can go. I think it will be going a bit better than my previous two races has gone so far.
Well, unfortunate, but anyway, good luck in your future races.
Thank you. Thanks for commentating.
No problem. So that was Kees Willems. We can talk now to 4th place finisher Alex Cochran. Alex, slightly better fortunes there. How is the race from your point of view?
It could have been better.
It
a bit
could
clumsy
be, but still
from
P4.
myself. I don't know. It's okay. It's good points. Well done to Dave as well. You know, P1. It's really good points for the team. But yeah, I should have been maybe fighting for the lead if I didn't make the... I don't know if you caught it on the stream. I had a stupid error with Dragoon near the, laps 3 or 4. We came together through the kink. And yeah, it was just a recovery drive after that, basically.
We didn't see that, but we did see the incident between you and Ryan Wilson. So you were in the wars a little in that race.
Yeah. The incident with Ryan was really strange. Like, I went a little deep. I tried to leave some room, and then we touched a tiny bit, and the car just flicked up in the air. It felt really strange, and then I think we made contact again. So, yeah, that wasn't ideal. I think that let Gibson past, I think. Which, wasn't ideal, but I managed to overcut him in the pit stops. But, yeah, too far back then to do anything, to the top 3. So, yeah, it's one of those things.
Indeed. Well, it may not be a podium, but you've had 2 podiums so far in this series, so I'd probably still call you a championship contender. How about you? What are you looking forward to the remainder of the series as we head into the second half?
I'm not sure what the next few races are. I know Road America was probably my favourite track on the calendar. It was fantastically fun to drive. Ooh, we're at Zolder next. That'll be interesting. Yeah, Road America was fantastic to drive, but the next few will be interesting for sure as well. Like Pocono, the next oval is super challenging. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I can't complain really. The season up to now has been okay, so keep going. And as you said, championship contention would be very nice, but we'll see.
We'll see indeed. So anyway, good job for your P4 anyway. I know you're not hugely happy for it, but it's still good points. And good luck in your future races.
Thanks for commentating and streaming.
No problem. So, Alex Cochran there from the 888 VDT team, which also won this race in the hands of Dave Southwood. Looks to me as if that might be the end of this broadcast, because I don't think anyone else has decided to jump in, but that is okay. Shame we're not speaking to any of the top three, though. I have a feeling they could have shed some light on a few things, but anyway. So that's the end of the broadcast today. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you, Thomas Marshall, for inviting me back for this round as well. Thomas, did you enjoy this race as much as I did?
Oh yeah, it's been quite an interesting race to be watching, honestly, and a lot of surprises from some of these top drivers, and a surprise that Southwood managed to finish so high up, honestly, from his qualifying. So overall it's been a very good race.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much for joining me, and for at least attempting to stream near the start. I know it didn't go particularly well, but that wasn't really your fault. Anyway, as I said, that's the end of this broadcast, and we'll see you again when we go live at Zolder. See you